On the way to the courthouse to divorce my wife, I suddenly gained the ability to hear her thoughts. My aloof and restrained wife looked at me with a look of disdain. But the next second, a soft, somewhat aggrieved female voice abruptly drilled into my head. Honey, I don't want a divorce. What if I say I'm not feeling well right now? Can we not go? Honey, please don't leave me. A girl as fair-skinned, long-legged, and beautiful as me, if you throw me away and someone else finds me, they're definitely not giving me back. I slammed on the brakes, almost jerking the car to a stop. I turned to look at Gu Qingning, uncertain. His expression hadn't changed at all. Not even an eyelash flickered. He was as cool as a jade statue. Was it an auditory hallucination? I swallowed hard. Testing the waters, I spoke. If we get divorced, will it affect you at all? Gu Qingning finally tore his gaze away from the window, turning to look at me. His voice perfectly calm. Not really. But his inner voice exploded like firecrackers, popping and crackling nonstop in my head. Just kidding, of course it will. People in our circle all have an unspoken understanding. No divorces, only widows. If my husband really divorces me, I'll go hang myself with a swing. Without my husband, I'll never be happy again. I don't want a divorce. I want my husband to hold me. This was definitely not a hallucination. Her lips didn't move at all, yet the words were as clear as if she had shouted them in my ear. Gu Qingning seemed to notice something was off with me. She suddenly turned and met my gaze. After a moment's hesitation, she said softly, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today. Can we talk about the divorce another time? Gu Qingning, you're amazing. You finally said it. Hurry up and say yes. Let's go back and not get divorced. How can I live without my husband? I can throw tantrums, roll around, act cute, be cool, be sweet. Black stockings, white stockings, fishnet stockings. Whatever style my husband likes, I'll wear. Her thoughts were giving me a headache. But looking at her small, reserved face, I inexplicably relented. All right, let's head back for now. Gu Qingning's eyes lit up for an instant. She just gave a slight nod, pretending to be calm. Okay, whatever you say. On the way back, the silence in the car was gone. I could clearly hear her humming a tuneless song in her heart, one line after another. Husband, husband. It was sickeningly sweet. I suddenly realized I didn't really know this wife of mine at all. Outsiders called her the cold, aloof female professor, elegant and distant, but who would have thought that inside, she was a non-stop chatterbox? A whiny little crybaby? We had a whirlwind marriage. The agreement was to marry first and then cultivate feelings, but we were both busy with work. And with her cold demeanor, we lived like roommates, even sleeping in separate bedrooms. When we got home, we still entered one after the other. Gu Qingning changed her shoes and said flatly, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to my room. Quick, get to your room. How do I win my husband back? There. Oh, right. Where did I hide all my stockings? I need to find them. This is so annoying. Why does my husband like cold, aloof girls? Let me check again. He likes an ice queen, so why can't he like me? I'm so easy to deal with. I'm warm, I get over being angry in 3 seconds. And then I go right back to doting on him. I stood at the entrance, utterly bewildered. Who told him I liked ice queens? That's a complete lie. But this huge contrast suddenly made Gu Qingning incredibly interesting to me. Most importantly, the tone in her thoughts didn't sound like someone who was indifferent to me. It seemed like there was a huge misunderstanding between us. Unfortunately, for the rest of the afternoon, Gu Qingning didn't step out of her room. She was too far away, and I couldn't hear her thoughts anymore. I had a dinner meeting with a client. Her usual cool response came from inside the room. Got it. My husband isn't eating with me again. He's always meeting clients. Are the clients prettier than me? It must be because I'm not understanding enough. So that's why my husband wanted to divorce me, right? My eyes are all swollen from crying. I need to ice them right away. I stood at the door, my steps faltering, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. The Gu Qingning in my memory was always composed and rational. Crying? She rarely even frowned. Who would have thought she would secretly cry over something like this after finishing up with the client? I didn't linger. I went home early. After showering, I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts in a complete tangle. Should I go through with this divorce or not? I've never liked beating around the bush. Before deciding on the divorce, I needed to have a real talk with Gu Qingning to understand what was going on in her head. As I was pondering this, there was a soft knock at the door. Ah. Come in. I sat up and looked towards the door. Gu Qingning stood there, freshly showered, her long hair draped over her shoulders, carrying a faint moist scent. Her usually upturned, alluring eyes were slightly downcast. The corners of her eyes rimmed with red. Is something wrong? I'm still not feeling well. Could you check on me? Her voice was softer than usual, with a hint of shyness. Husband, please don't turn me down. I will literally cry. I prepared all night. I spent forever mentally preparing myself to come here. I'm not a doctor. If it's really bad, I can take you to the hospital. Just as I was about to move, a soft, fair hand suddenly pressed down on my shoulder. No need to go to the hospital. I know what's wrong. It's just, husband, stop looking at me like that. My heart is pounding out of my chest. I'm so nervous. How did he get so handsome today? Husband, my whole body feels weak. Could you give me a massage? The moment she finished speaking, the room fell into a deathly silence. I could even sense her thoughts coming to a halt. The air seemed to freeze. The next second, Gu Qingning's small face flushed crimson, the blush spreading from her cheeks to her ears. She pressed her lips together, unable to speak. Your chest feels tight? Ah! Why did I say that out loud? That's not what I meant to say. Gu Qingning, you idiot. So, care to explain? Then she suddenly grabbed my hand and pressed it against her chest. It's just tightness in my chest. You massaging it would make it better. Go big or go home. We're this far, what's there to be afraid of? Hurry up and massage, dear. Don't just stand there. My hand rested on her soft skin. I instinctively moved it a little. The next instant, Gu Tingning flinched as if burned. A delicate pink flush spreading across her skin, even her fingertips trembling slightly. I remember now, for chest tightness, you can take a certain herbal pill. I'll go find some for you. Before I could finish, Gu Tingning reflexively held me in place. She probably didn't control her strength, because I stumbled, and we both fell onto the bed. She was on top of me, her nose almost touching my chin. In the chaos, I felt her hand land on my abs. Whoa, an 8-pack. The feeling is incredible. I've done good deeds all my life. What's wrong with a little feel? It's not too much, is it? One more time. Just first you get up. You're on top of me, now my chest feels tight. Gu Tingning was indeed only bold in her thoughts. Flustered, she scrambled to push herself up. Sorry. I didn't mean to. Seeing her flustered state, I couldn't help but reach out to steady her. The moment my fingers touched her waist, Gu Tingning went rigid. Then, as if all her strength left her, she collapsed back onto me. At this point, it's really hard for me to believe this is an accident. It's not. My waist, you can't just touch it like that. It's a bit sensitive. Seeing the tips of her ears turn red, I felt like teasing her. But before I could speak, I heard her inner monologue rambling again. Oh no. I felt his abs. I'm so happy I'm being touched. It's so ticklish, but it feels so good. My husband's hands are so beautiful. I wish he'd touched me more. Gu Tingning, get a grip. This is so perverted. Ah, well, the aloof female professor persona is completely ruined for me now. 2.5 minutes later, we sat facing each other on the sofa. Gu Tingning still wore a stoic expression, trying hard to maintain her cool demeanor, but the blush on her face wouldn't fade. She looked like a kitten trying to act fierce. She didn't speak, just stared at me, as if waiting for me to start. But her thoughts had already betrayed her. Aside from talking about our relationship, I don't want to talk about anything else with my husband. Last time he said let's talk, was he going to talk about whether he still wants me? I should have worn a sexy nightgown, what a waste. When I mentioned divorce earlier, you agreed so readily. I thought you also thought our marriage had problems. I don't think there's a problem. We've just been following the agreement we made before marriage. I'm curious why you wanted a divorce, but her thoughts ruined the serious mood. Why does my husband want a divorce? Is there another woman? Who's trying to steal my husband? Is she prettier than me? Got a better body? Better education? Pretends to be more aloof than me? I mean, I'm pretending too, but I'm really good at it. Quiet. The barrage of questions was giving me a headache again. As soon as I spoke, the world went silent. I didn't say anything. The next second, her voice was back in my head, tinged with a little excitement. My husband is so stern, but being stern is also handsome. Suddenly feel like kneeling and calling him master. What should I do? Gu Tingning, you're too perverted. But if my husband said so, it might not be a bad idea. This particular interest was a bit beyond my expectations. Beneath the aloof female professor's exterior lay so many peculiar thoughts. My wanting a divorce has nothing to do with another woman. Before we married, we agreed, if there was no spark after a few years, we'd part amicably. These past 2 years have been too busy, and our life felt like cohabitation. I thought you were tired of this mundane existence too. Plus, I heard that back in high school you had a crush on an upperclassman. At the mention of upperclassmen, Gu Tingning's aloof mask instantly cracked. The blush that had just receded began spreading again from her neck up to her cheeks, until the tips of her ears were burning red. Seeing her like that, the flicker of hope that had just kindled in me was instantly extinguished. Anyone looking at that reaction would think she still held a torch for that guy. If you have feelings for someone else, there's no point in forcing this. I can't accept my wife having another man in her heart. Another man? Is my husband jealous? I'm so happy. What other man? That upperclassman is you, dummy. Maybe I should just confess right now. But that's not the romantic image I wanted. Should I seize this chance? I should have worn that lace nightgown. So regretful. The upperclassman was me. I was stunned, my brain working overtime. I'm 2 years older than Gu Tingning. She went to university abroad. We couldn't have been college alumni, so the upperclassman would have to be from middle or high school. But looking at her face, I didn't recall anything. Gu Tingning must have been a pretty girl in school. How could I have no memory of her? Just as I was about to ask, Gu Tingning suddenly stood up. When you brought up divorce before, I wasn't indifferent. It's just that there was an issue with the school lab, and I couldn't get away. As for that upperclassman, that's long in the past. I really am not feeling well today. Can we set another time to talk about the divorce? I can't confess now. It's too embarrassing. I need to find a more romantic moment to tell him. I fell for him at the high school reunion 3 years ago. How can he have no memory of me? Seeing the nervousness in her eyes, my suspicion only grew. But I knew this wasn't the time to press. We both needed time to sort out this tangled relationship. How about in 3 days? I have a one-day business trip tomorrow. Okay, I'll go rest then. Good night, good night. I watched her walk away, a whirlwind of emotions inside. Only when her door closed did I slowly sink back onto the sofa, rubbing my temples, so that aloof, restrained female professor was not only a clingy little crybaby, but also a lovesick girl who had been secretly crushing on me for years. The divorce was definitely off. The talk in 3 days was going to be interesting. I smiled slightly, a glint of amusement in my eyes, watching Gu Tingning, who was putting on a brave face, but screaming internally as she slowly walked back to her room. I leaned back on the sofa, staring blankly. The events of the whole day felt like a fever dream. Ever since I started hearing Gu Qingning's thoughts, I felt like I was dreaming. Should I see a psychiatrist? Is any of this real or not? But those soft calls of honey felt overwhelmingly real. At that moment, Gu Qingning was probably rolling around on her bed, burning up like a little furnace. Does my husband know I've liked him for years? Wait, that's not right. If my husband knew the upperclassman was him, why would he care if I had feelings for someone else and want a divorce? And how does he even know about that? Memories of that summer surged back unexpectedly. Hey, little elementary school kid. Why are you wandering over here after school? He pointed to the end of the alley. See that? That's a technical school. The kids there are rough. Don't come here alone again. He paused, then scratched his head. How about I take you to the police station? Or call your parents on your smartwatch? Gu Qingning was taken aback. Looking down at her middle school uniform, voices came from the alley entrance. Lee-sung, what are you doing? Come on, let's play ball. You guys go ahead. I'll catch up in a bit. Turning back, he looked at her seriously. Looks like I found a lost kid. Gotta make sure she gets home safe first. That day, Gu Qingning inexplicably remembered that name. She obediently followed Lee-sang to the police station and waited until her parents rushed over. Only when he handed her over to the officer did Lee-sang turn and run off. From that day on, a boy named Lee-sang lived in Gu Qingning's heart. Didn't they tell me that Lee-sang likes aloof, quiet types? I've been pretending for 2 years. Why does he still not like me? Still want a divorce?